This school itself is basically a big part of the outreach from the East Lansing campus. But certainly the outreach in terms of bringing groups in, such as the Detroit Public Schools and the Coalition on Temporary Shelter. We are going to be doing some work with the Children's Center. We've done other, I guess, workshops out in the community at senior centers and things like that. So we want people coming here, but we are also interested in reaching out and going to other facilities as well.
The Coalition on Temporary Shelter, or COTS, has been a Detroit fixture for many years. The Coalition exists to alleviate homelessness for adults and their children. This program was developed to work with these children during the day while their parents were looking for help.
Children are from homeless families. They come into the shelter, and COTS used to be a temporary shelter, but now we provide permanent housing for our guests as well.
We do a lot of socialization type skills. We do goals that we would have for them would be improving self-esteem and self-confidence. We work on group goals with them, a lot of attention span issues that we do with them. So some of the activities that we were doing today, we got out the scarves. We worked with expressing their own creativity through movement. Dance therapy is a form of psychotherapy that focuses on movement.
I think music, it calms them, because once we, especially the younger ones, my 2.5-year-old, once I turn on music, they're dancing, they're jumping, and they're laughing, and they're playing, they're running, and burning up a lot of energy. So yes, music is the best therapy for them, I think. Jody and Karen are great. We come over and they're so patient with the kids. Always keep a low tone, and whatever the kids are doing, they just fall in and work with them. Whatever, like today we were having a lot of outbursts, and they kept going, and we pulled them out and then pull them back in. But this is a lovely place. They treat us very, very special.
Children aren't the only beneficiaries of the school. Beverly Dade is a teacher at Detroit Translation Center East.
My kids are artistically impaired. They're the ages of 20 to 26 years old. Our school services kids of all placements who are disabled, and at the age of 26 they exited the program and they off to some other things. However, kids with autism tends to love music. It tends to give them the opportunity to express themselves, to communicate their needs and their wants, and it gives them a pleasure of moving their body and exercising.
Their group, we focus on a lot of socialization skills, on the ability to make eye contact, to interact with somebody, the ability to form a group. As we got the stretch rope out, and when they're all holding on to that rope, then they become aware of everybody else in the group. They can feel the movement from the other group. It helps them to connect. So that's one of the goals that we have with that particular thing. Again, self-expression and motivating them to move. Very often that population does a lot of sitting, and without motivation they don't get up and move around. And so that's, a lot of people feel that they are able to do a lot of those things, and then they do when they have the proper motivations. The props that I use really are just motivators to get them to move in different directions. When they have a scarf, they're going to look up, they're going to follow that scarf, they're going to extend their movement. When they have that rope, they move as a group. When we stop and change directions, they have to stop because the rope stopped, so it heightens their awareness of what's going on around them.
The kids are certainly enjoying it. They're having a great time. This is the first time I've ever seen them since between the 2 times that we've been here, them spark and be lively. Once they leave this class, they go back to the classroom and they're forever talking about their experience. And some of them are moving, as you can see in the program, they're moving still as they leave here. children with disabilities, they tend to learn from music. They tend to communicate their ideas through music. I can sing a song, and some of the kids in my classroom tend to remember things that I sing to them.
The community school is much more than music therapy. Rhonda Buckley explains.
One of the benefits of being part of Michigan State University is that we have admissions counselors right here in the building where we hold our programs, and it's been a great advantage for youth who are coming here in their middle and high school years to not only have the advice of their music mentors, but of our admissions professionals from Michigan State. Because what we want the kids to know is not only do they have the ability to graduate from high school, but they can also aspire to go to college. And I think it's part of it. You have to start to see yourself there, or vision yourself there, know that that can be you. And what we see is when these middle and high school kids actually have a mentor that's actually a college student, and they get to know this student, and they can start to see themselves in that role as well. So that's been a really special thing, and I think, music, what we're doing is youth development here, and we're just using music to get to that place where we can build trust and get, other people involved in the lives of young people, and music can do that as well.
I think they've made a lot of connections in Detroit. They're doing a lot with the schools. They're exposing a lot of children to music here in Detroit that have lost that chance through the schools and such because of, with budget cuts and all of that. Creative arts are always the first thing to go. And Michigan State is providing some of that back.
To run a school like the Community Music School can be quite expensive and daunting. Funding an endeavor like this is always a challenge.
We are part of Michigan State University, but we're also self-supporting, so that the dollars that run this program are largely from corporations and foundations and individuals who support our work. Being here in Detroit, we want to really be accessible to people with all levels of income, which means that we have substantial financial aid available. And that's primarily what we raise funds for, is to be able to subsidize tuitions for people who can't afford it, to make sure that they can have access to music education and music therapy.
The therapists here at CMS are quick to point out that the home environment is as important to the development of a child as the therapy that the school provides.
Parents are so important, and I often try to help parents use what we do at home as well. Really, it's about spending that time with your child and engaging them. And if you feel that you can't maybe sing, it's not about your talent, it's not about your ability, it's about using music that you love, that touches you, and engaging with your child. You can certainly do a number of different movement activities. You might use a picture book and sing a little song about what's happening in the book, and ask questions about that. So really just the sky's the limit, just to be creative and being willing to do music with your child.
This is a different way of living. But I mean, there is a light, that's the whole thing. I mean, there is a light, the light is not dim actually. These individuals are actually capable of doing pretty much everything that typical kids do. But you as a parent have to find a way to, to get this thing done. But this is our job. I mean, if you just sit down, do nothing, yeah, it'll be catastrophe, yes. I mean, I don't see as a duty. I mean, this is your son. I mean, it's just try to do always the best thing for them. I mean, this is clearly see it's one of the good thing for him. I mean, and she needs help. She needs more student, definitely. And then because she's a great person, truly great person, and she's trying to do her best. I can see her best is helping.
The MSU Community Music School is serving an important role in the city of Detroit. And like many organizations today, they are always in need of help.
Every bit counts, no matter what the amount is, to keep a school like this going. I had been laid off last year and probably wouldn't have been able to afford to send Caden. Even with the amount of money that is not a whole lot, but he was awarded a scholarship, and that comes from funding from companies, big or whatever, small or big. So I would just pretty much tell them my testimony, my personal testimony, what I see with other children, by speaking to other moms that bring their children. I would just let them know that it's extremely important, and it makes these children better. And of course, because they're the future, whether they have a disability or not, it's important to kind of help them. It's very therapeutic for them. And just to see your child grow is reward enough. And that's exactly what I will say to them.
This is a program that is well worth donations and to keep it running, because we have so many children with different disabilities, and if music therapy is able to help them overcome, I would just plead for them to give freely. And I know the economy is now starting to go on an upturn, so I know they have it.
We all have something, we all have a gift. And we have to find it, or we have to maybe even be affirmed in it. And I think it's so interesting, when I talk to our therapists about how a client or how one of their clients is doing, and find that they've never spoken a word, and doctors had said they never would, but then through music, they find their voice. And they may find it through being able to sing lyrics in a song and then being able to string sentences together. So there are miracles that happen. I just think it's profound. I mean, music affects us, I think, most of us in a very profound way. And it's very therapeutic. I mean, how often do you turn on the radio just to let the music wash over you, or experience whatever you're doing? There's often music involved in it. And so I think it's a really direct application of, the healing qualities of music, and applied in sometimes such subtle ways that you don't even know it's happening. And I think our therapists are just it's a blessing really to be able to have a child in a therapeutic setting like that, where they don't even know what's happening to them and they're healing the whole time.
The Michigan State University Community Music School. Visit their website at www.cms.msu.edu. They have 2 locations, one in Detroit and one in Lansing, and are anxiously awaiting new students.